some issues I would like to make just to start off. And in fact, I was realizing that this whole process is already lasting for many years. I think if you go back in time, it's almost 20 years ago that we heard the first elements of discussion about supervisory agencies. So in my view, it's important and interesting that in your documentation you can see a certain timeline, what has happened in those 20 years, and I will quickly come to this. And also allow me to make a link with the present issues on the discussion. That will be the second part of my introduction. And then after that, I will just touch upon what, in my view, are important issues in the debate. Just mentioning the issues, not entering into the discussion about it. And then finally, I think it's important to make the link with what you are doing and about what you are thinking, because I see from the participants list that, well, many of you are market participants or working in industries. So it's important that you have a lot of concerns in the present days about the challenges of your respective businesses. And it's good to remind about this and to have it in mind when we look at the challenges for the ESAs. So first of all, once again, let me be very short, talking about the history. And the history started almost 20 years ago, I said. So I'm not sure if many of you still remember what was in the European Financial Services Action Plan of 1999. And maybe most of you were still wearing short pants at that moment, going to high school, I don't know. But that was a very decisive moment in time, if I may say. And it's good to remind about this. And then, if you would like to summarize what has happened since then, I think there is one letter word. It's all about the L. So L, and by L I mean Lamfalussy and de la Rosière, and by L I mean also the story of the three-level committees and the three levels of decision. So if there is one thing you have to remember from this first slide is, well, the Lamfalussy report in 2001 and the La Rosière report in 2009. And Lamfalussy led, as you know, to the establishment of the three supervisory committees at the time. We still have to struggle with these historic acronyms. CEPS, CEOPS, CESAR. CESAR was already there in 2001, and the other ones were established in 2004. But the more decisive steps came later, as you know, with the La Rosière report and his proposal for a three-tier approach. And that is the one we will see in the next slide. I will not elaborate on the further steps, it's just for your documentation, but of course we cannot talk about this new structure without mentioning, at least, without having a discussion on this, the tasks of the European Systemic Risk Board, very important from a macro-prudential perspective, and also, of course, what has happened in banking supervision with the establishment of the SSM and the start of the European Banking Supervision in November 2014. So this is something you all have in mind, that is what we are talking about, these different committees. And well, I think a lot of what is in this slide is presently under discussion about when we talk about the funding of these agencies, the governance of these agencies, and the powers and what they are supposed to do. And this brings me then to my next slide, where you see the ongoing work, because it's not just, if you look at it from a European perspective, about the tasks and the mandates and the powers of the ESAs. That's in the last column, as you see, where I summarize very briefly the European Commission proposals of last September. But remember that at the same time we have the whole discussion about the completion of the banking union, with the very tricky discussion about deposit insurance, as you know. The common backstop in terms of resolution of banks, And let me make the link then with the first box in which, we have the painful and very long discussion about the banking package. We have seen that Basel at the end has succeeded in coming out finally with texts. But let's see what this means now for the Capital Requirements Directive and the Capital Requirements Regulation in Europe. So that will be an important step as well, certainly when we think about the mandate and the powers of European Banking Authority. A lot of reviews have been made in the long time. I will not go through all of them, but I remember in 2004, I think, was it 4? No, it was 14. 2014, I think, the Mazars review regarding the three supervisory agencies, where a lot of proposals and suggestions were made. And do not forget that when we talk about supervision, there is still a white elephant or an elephant in the room, that is the non-performing loans in the banking sector. As long as we have not succeeded in finding an appropriate solution for that, we may have faced difficulties, and we have seen that the common denominator in all the resolution cases which we had in the last months all centered around non-performing loans. But that's another story, but not unimportant, I think, for the present debate. So here, this is only a summary of about 13 questions I asked it myself when preparing my role here. And I hope it will feed you in reflecting on your views and your concerns. And certainly when we will hear the different speakers about their respective views, a lot of these points will come back. So let me not elaborate on them. They will certainly come back in the discussion. But as the title of the conference is quite clear, I think the three critical success factors are the powers, the governance, and the funding. And you see that the political discussion about all these three main lines is very tricky. I've heard some very outspoken views from different environments about this review. So the different points mentioned there are certainly very present in the debate. And I just heard that we all thought, at least I thought, that the discussion was closed in terms of the sector having still the possibility to react, but apparently there is still a kind of, shall I call it, a hidden consultation in which firms and stakeholders can still send reactions. But I'm sure, Nathalie, you will elaborate on this, or maybe you can help find a solution to my question. I'm not an insider, but strange process anyway. At the same time, and I will close on this, Adam, is the issues which are strategically relevant for all you as a stakeholder. So I took my pen and I wrote down 10 issues, 10 concerns, 10 challenges. So go through each of them and you will say, well, I know that very good. That is indeed a big concern in my sector, in my industry, in my association, and I struggle with finding a link between these concerns and what is on the table with respect to the reviews of the European supervisory agencies. Once again, I will not elaborate on this, but just consider this as my humble contribution to your documentation package. And let me end by a very simple question, and I think it's a way to present the importance of this panel. I don't know if any of you know what is the largest room in the world. The largest room in the world. No? No idea, the largest room in the world? It's very simple, the largest room in the world is the room for improvement. Let's keep this in mind when we listen to the respective speakers. Thank you.